Hi guys, welcome to the latest podcast of YarninBlak. Today I've got a really great friend of mine on, Jack. I'll introduce you to Jack in a second. But first, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that I'm currently calling you from. I'm here in Trentonham, on the land of the Dja Dja Wurrung people, and I'd like to pay respect to their elders past, present and emerging. I'd like to acknowledge any other Aboriginal people that are here today. And also to my mate Jack. Hey Jack, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, for people who don't know you, just tell us who you are, where you're from.
My name is Jack Ison. I currently live in Fairfield. My mob's Yorta, Wiradjuri, Wongobong, Nyampa, Wamba Wamba. So yeah, got family from all over the place.
Yep, cool. And you're studying at the moment?
Yeah, study at Scotch College in year 12. So yeah.
Yep. And how long have you been at Scotch College for?
I got a scholarship, an Indigenous scholarship in year 9. So I started in year 9 and then I went to Northcote High School, year 7 and 8. So that's just my local high school.
Yep. What made you decide to go to Scotch College?
Me and my mum and dad talked about it in year 7 because Mingara and Aaron, they got Mingara into Scotch by one of my good mates. And then I didn't really like the idea of a private school, thought it was a bit posh and all that stuff. And then year 7 and 8 was COVID year for me. So it was a bit struggling and then just felt like I needed a new change. And then Scotch was a good opportunity for me. And yeah, it's been really good ever since.
Yep. So what do you like about Scotch?
Oh, well, the Indigenous program's probably the main thing. Like the group of boys we have, really good group. Ever since year 9, there's just been that brotherhood. Like there's been Preston, Caleb, Aiden, all the past boys who've graduated, the new boys coming up. I feel like we have a really good culture there and we're all really close. So that makes it really easy coming to school, having all those boys there.
Yeah. Hey, what subjects do you like doing?
I do legal studies, business management, English, math, and art, and sport and rec.
Wow. And so you're finishing year 12 this year. What would you like to do after year 12?
Well, AFL's the dream for me. I've always had that dream ever since I was a little kid. And so it's definitely get drafted at the end of this year and hopefully play AFL. And then I'd love to do a bit of player management stuff. So after my AFL career, become a player manager. And that would be I would target remote Indigenous kids from remote communities and Indigenous kids from all around Australia to help them get the opportunity to play footy, go to great schools like Scotch and other private schools and even non-private schools and just help them get the opportunity. But then I'd also love to get into, I enjoy the real estate. So investing into property, that's something that interests me. So hopefully I can do that in a few years.
I think you can be an entrepreneur and a footballer and
yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Now at school, how much Indigenous studies do you actually learn at school?
To be honest, barely anything. Apart, the only Indigenous studies we get is from you when you come into Scotch, and teach us boys a few things about culture and our people and all that stuff. But from the school, you learn a little bit in history in year 9 and 10, but very, very minimal stuff.
Yeah. But your major focus is footy. So what do you love about footy? And I know you've just been to South Australia as well. So tell us about that.
Well, I've always loved playing footy in sport and, yeah, basically all sports ever since I was a little kid. And, yeah, my favourite thing about footy is just not worrying about anything when you step on the field. All the worries go away and you can just kick a footy with your best mates and enjoy what you're doing. And I was lucky enough to play footy in South Australia over the long weekend. And that was for Vic Metro. So it was Vic Metro versus South Australia. And unfortunately, we didn't get the chockies and we did lose. But it's a great opportunity and, yeah, it was an unreal trip.
Yeah. So every school holidays, you're always going to do some footy blocks somewhere, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully. Well, footy this year's been very full on, being draft year and a lot of preseason camps, a lot of training. So footy is very time consuming, but it's what I love doing. So I love doing it.
Yeah. Are you prepared for, if you do get drafted, to so disciplined in becoming a league player?
Yeah, I definitely do think I am prepared, and I feel like the habits I'm building right now will only help me become an AFL player, and I feel like I'm definitely on the track to becoming an AFL player at the moment. So yeah, I definitely do think I'll be disciplined enough to play AFL and hopefully have a long career.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? And that is, if you don't get into footy, what would be your next choice?
Well, I've always had the plan of, so this year I'm studying as hard as I can, trying to get a ADA, which will get me into a few courses that interest me in sport, business and sports management, bit of sports science, bit of law, even real estate. But it's, say I don't get drafted at the end of this year, I'd probably take a year off uni, take a gap year, and then put everything into footy, give it one more really big shot, give everything I have, and then hopefully get picked up in the mid-season or at the end of the year again. But if that wasn't to work out, then I would, I'd probably start studying in uni, and then just not 100% sure. I know I've got a few passions like sport management, real estate. So yeah, I'd probably explore those things in uni and see where that takes me.
You've obviously got a passion for sport. Even if it's not being on the field, it's actually being behind the field as well.
Yeah, well, really anything to do with sport. Like I've had a lot to do with Carlton through the NGA, and even what the guy who runs that, his job seems awesome. Like anything to do with the AFL club or any sporting, it's really just what interests me and what I like to do.
What your time at Scotch so far, you've been there 5 years now?
Yeah, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. How would you encourage new Aboriginal boys to come into the school?
Good question. I'd say, well, it's about being comfortable. So I'd say find a good group of friends, whether that's in the Indigenous boys or not. And then once you feel comfortable at school, just use all the opportunities you have. So at Scotch, you have so many opportunities, whether it be tutoring or the footy team or really anything. I've got everything there. Just make as most of the opportunities you have at Scotch, and really just utilize everything. Do extra study, do extra anything, and whatever you like to do, just really make the most of your opportunities, and just enjoy your time at school, I guess.
Yeah. Now, you've been exposed to a lot of Aboriginal boys from all over Australia.
Mm.
What makes you all come together to be a whole group that you are? Because you're all very close.
Yeah, we are very close, which I love, and it's really easy to come to school when you've got all those boys there because you feel safe, and I think that really stems from the programs you do. Like you bring us all together and we dance and we learn about culture, but also Rob Smith, who runs the Indigenous program at Scotch, the office that he has where we all put our bags there, and it's the Indigenous space, and we can all just come there and feel really safe and just connect. And over time, when you spend so much time with each other, you grow close, and we just got a really good connection. And I feel like with all the Indigenous boys coming to school, you're on your toes a bit with the other boys, but when you're with the Indigenous boys, you can really let your hair down and just enjoy your time.
Yeah. And this is a bit of a sad year for the Scotch because 6 of you are graduating year 12.
Yeah, it's going to be different next year for Rob and yourself, but there's 6 boys in year 12, which again is why we're so close, because we have so many classes together and spend so much time together. So
Yeah. Another question I've got is, have you got any role models that you look up to?
yeah, definitely. Well, I've got a few, there's a few AFL players who I definitely look up to,
Who are
like
they?
Sam Walsh from Carlton Footy Club, and I got the opportunity to train with the Carlton seniors over the pre-season. So I was just trying to pick his brain, pick Cripper's brain of all the sporting side of things and what they do off field in terms of their recovery and their education to become the best players they are. But then, yeah, got a few role models off field, whether that be my manager for footy and the way he goes about things, the business side of things, and how he's able to succeed and showcase his class and just really present himself in a nice way.
And you've also done a bit of modelling as well.
Yeah, do a little bit of modelling here and there.
Yeah. What have you been doing?
That's a funny story. I was with my big sister and one of my mates, and we were getting brekkie, and then this guy comes up and he asks if I do any modelling. And I thought that was a pretty weird question to ask, but then he showed me his Instagram and he had 100,000 followers or something. So I was like, geez. And then I said, nah, I don't do any modelling. And he said, would you be interested? And I said, sure. And then he took a photo of me, sent it to an agency, and 2 weeks later I had a contract. And then they send me jobs every now and then, every 8 weeks, probably get a gig. And it saves me having a part-time job, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah. Anything we should be watching out for?
I just did a shoot with New Era Caps, so they'll probably be on that website soon.
Yeah. Wow. Footballer, artist, model.
Yeah.
Is there anything that Jack Ison can't do?
I'd like to think not, and I reckon, I like to think not.
No. Being an Aboriginal young man, do you feel racism is still quite large out in community?
Yeah, definitely. There is definitely a lot of racism in Australia. There definitely has been a big change, even just at school, I feel. Like coming to school in year 9, there is boys who don't really understand what they're saying, but they do say racist stuff. And then even this year, the first football team, me and all the Indigenous boys led the war cry, and we all taught them the dance and what it means to us. And they really brought into that and was able to share our culture. And that was the first time they have really ever danced with the Indigenous boys and with Indigenous culture. And I felt like that really opened a few of their eyes, and even the staff who were involved. So I definitely feel like we're going in the right direction, but yeah, a lot of racism still out there, unfortunately.
Yeah. What do you think are some of the biggest stereotypes that black fellas actually encounter?
Definitely, it's definitely you're good at footy, you're athletic, all that stuff, which it's not hurtful in a way, but it is still a stereotype. But then there's the Aboriginal people, geez. They're seen as less in a way, I guess.
Yeah. How can we break those stereotypes?
I think it's really just getting to know more Aboriginal people. Like, for example, go back to Scotch. Like all my mates who are non-Indigenous, I'm pretty confident they would have never really had an Indigenous mate or been close to an Indigenous person. And once they understand us and what we stand for and who we are, then it really opens their eyes and, educates them on who we are.
Yeah. Hey, what makes a good ally for Aboriginal people?
A good ally, someone who probably has the same beliefs as you, and someone who's willing to stand up for you, even if it's awkward. They're willing to call out racism, even if it's their parents, their sisters, or anything. But if they're willing to stand for the right thing, then they're a good ally.
Yeah, I think that's a really great thing. Do you think that if I gave you $1 zillion and a magic wand, what would you like to fix in Aboriginal affairs in Australia?
Probably be homelessness or poverty. I definitely that'd be the main one for me. Just making sure all the mob and all the family are under a roof, have food on their table. I feel like that would solve a lot of problems and get things going in the right direction for those who are struggling.
Yeah. If I know that when you become a footballer, I know you are a footballer, but you start to be a role model for other young Aboriginal men. And there are a lot of young Aboriginal men that are not really connected to culture.
Mm.
If you come across people that wanting to know more and they say, Jack, where should I go to find out more about culture? What would you suggest to them?
It's a tough question. There is definitely a lot of culture has been lost due to the stolen generation and all that stuff. But there are definitely a lot of elders like yourself who are trying to educate the next generation. And I think it's just someone came up to me, I'd direct them in the right place because I don't think I'm fit to educate them the same way elders would be. And I would just say, ask as many questions as you can. Ask where you are, where you're from, who your people are, what the story is, and I just would direct them in towards a group of elders, or there's a few Indigenous groups around Victoria, so there are a few resources.
Yeah. What makes you proud to be Aboriginal?
The longest living culture is definitely the first thing for me. The fact that our people have gone through so much and be able to come out on the other end and still strong and fighting and thriving. And the fact that the thing that's really special to me is when you do meet an Indigenous person, whether it's the first time, whether you've known them for a couple hours or you barely know them, I feel like you instantly connect and can feel a sense of safety with them, and which is rare, I think, and I don't think many other people would be able to experience that. And that's what's special to me.
If you're looking into the future and you want to have kids yourself, what parts of culture can you teach your kids, and where are you going to learn more so that your kids can benefit?
I
know that's a big question. I know that's a while off too.
It's a while off, hopefully. I think it's definitely within myself, for myself personally, I definitely have a lot of resources to educate myself more in culture, whether that's through my dad, through my auntie, through my papa and nan. And I think it's just about spending more time with them and more time in the bush, more time doing cultural things. And for me personally, with my kids in the future, I would definitely embrace them with the Indigenous culture ever since they were a baby. I'd let them know who their mob are. I'd educate them about our people, how we're the longest living culture, and really just embrace them and just really let them know they're Aboriginal, and then take it from there.
Yeah. We've only got a couple of questions left for you, but you don't have much longer for year 12.
Yeah.
What is one thing that you're not going to miss about studying and going to school?
Oh, geez, there's a few things there. I reckon probably just a few of the boring classes. They're pretty tough. Waking up early to go to double legal studies, definitely won't miss doing that. And yeah, just the studying in general is pretty draining. But I guess you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. Now, I've known you for a number of years now, and you know how much I care and really support you. And I think that you've done a really great job. And I want to say congratulations for getting all the way to year 12.
Yeah, thank you.
But my final question is, what would you like people to walk away with from our yarn this afternoon?
Um, I reckon if I could share anything, it'd be the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I reckon if you have a dream that you really want to achieve, it's all just about putting the work in. For myself personally, I've always wanted to be an AFL player, and I've been putting my head down ever since I could remember, really, and just working as hard as I can to it. And now I feel like I'm so close to that, so I just want to work even harder. And for those listening, I reckon it is, if you've got a dream, just chase it and, yeah, put everything you can into it.
Yeah. I've seen how hard you've worked for this. So I've got my fingers crossed and my legs, everything crossed, right? Making sure that you can try to get whatever your dream is.
Yeah.
You know that I'll always be there to support you, even after Scotch. So I want to say, Jack, thanks for hanging with me today. Love you heaps, man, and keep up the great work that you do.
Thanks, AJ. It's been fun.
And guys, I'll see you at the next podcast. Thanks.